Kyle Davidson and the Chicago Blackhawks have had a really quiet offseason, not going after or acquiring any big name free agents whatsoever, and I'm happy about it. I know that public sentiment amongst Blackhawks fans, for the most part, over the past year and a half or so, has been that we need to get Connor Bedard help. And while I agree with it somewhat, I'm happy that it did not happen this summer. Last summer, Kyle Davidson made the decision to go out and acquire a bunch of veterans to try to bolster the roster a little bit, insulate Bedard, and raise the quality of the team. And it didn't work whatsoever. And now I know you're thinking, well, you can't compare a Craig Smith or a Pat Maroon or an Alex Martinez to a Nick Ehlers or a Sam Bennett or a Mitch Marner. And while that's true, all those players have one thing in common, and it's that they would be taking away roster spots from young players in the prospect pool. Now, it's very rare that we see a team go full rebuild in the NHL the way the Chicago Blackhawks did. And I know you're thinking, oh, no, that's not true. We see it all the time. Blah, blah, blah. The term rebuild gets passed around like a blunt at a Snoop Dogg concert, but they don't actually happen all that often the way that the Blackhawks have done this rebuild, right? The Blackhawks and Kyle Davidson decided to completely strip this thing down, bare bones, and go all in on acquiring draft capital and acquiring the future of this team through the draft. And now we've spent these past 3-4 years drafting all these young players, building up this prospect pool. It would be foolish to now go out and spend all this money on a player you think should be in the top 6, splurge on a big name free agent, sign them to term before knowing anything really about the prospect pool. I mean, we've only seen like 25% of this prospect pool thus far. There's still so many guys that are just turning pro now or are going to be turning pro at the end of this season. We need to get through a year and a half with these guys, start seeing some of them at the NHL level and finding out what we do and don't have before we go out and acquire a big name free agent. And so that's, I guess, the point of this is I do think the Blackhawks are going to need to go out and acquire a big name player over the next couple years. I just didn't think that this summer was the time to do it because let's face it, this team is going to be ass next year. And if this team is going to be ass next year, it's going to be hard to convince a big name player to come sign with the Chicago Blackhawks unless you're going to overpay the hell out of them. And that would be a foolish thing to do. As Blackhawks fans, we've already suffered through 4 or 5 really brutal seasons. What's 1 or 2 more? Like at this point, we're so deep into this rebuild, we got to see it through. And I really do think that splurging on a big name free agent this summer would have, in a way, kind of been throwing away a lot of the progress we've made thus far. Because I mean, I've got the roster pulled up. The Chicago Blackhawks still have guys like Tyler Bertuzzi, Teuvo Teravainen, Jason Dickinson, Nick Foligno, Ilya Mikheyev, now Sam Lafferty as well. These are all veterans that are taking up spots already. You add a couple more, then it's like, okay, you're trying to plug and play, maybe 3 young guys at a time. We're not going to be able to find out what is actually good about this prospect pool and what we need to improve on unless you get to see a bulk of them playing at the NHL level. And so I really hope that's what this season is going to be. I mean, I think it kind of has to be. It seems like Kyle Davidson learned from his mistakes from last summer. He didn't really acquire anybody of note. I mean, the Burakovsky trade, but that was a 1-for-1 trade with Joe Veleno. So, you're not adding a player. And then Sam Lafferty, I guess, was the only one of note. But I think Kyle Davidson views Sam Lafferty as a player that he can flip for better draft capital. I think he acquired him for a 6th. I think he feels like he can have a good year with the Blackhawks, similar to his last season with the Blackhawks, and flip him for like a 2nd or a 3rd at the deadline, which if he does, fine, cool. But this season, from a Blackhawks fan perspective, is going to be so much more enjoyable than the past couple seasons have. Because yes, the team is going to struggle. The team's not going to be great. The team's probably going to be bottom 5 in the league again. But at least we'll be watching the young prospects, the young players that we're so excited that we've been getting pumped about over the past couple years. It's going to be all of them taking the reins finally. And that should have been what happened last year. But there were, of course, less young players available than there are right now. And Kyle Davidson thought that he needed to insulate them with veterans who've been around the block a long time and weren't getting contracts from other teams. And thank God he didn't this year. It's going to be all the young players. It's going to be full youth movement. And look, man, I think watching Sam Rinzel for a full season, Frank Nazar for a full season, Artem Levshinov maybe for a whole season, Wyatt Kaiser for a whole season, Spencer Knight for a whole year. Like, this is a really fun time to be a Blackhawk fan because this core that is being built is going to be nasty in a few years. And we get to see their development arc live and in color. It's going to be a good year. Don't worry about the free agents. It's going to happen. All right. The Blackhawks are going to go out and get a big free agent to add to the top 6 of this lineup eventually. But it's going to be after they find out what they do or do not have with this young core, with this young prospect pool. And when that happens in maybe a year or two, you're not going to have to pay the free agents as much as you would have had to this summer because the team's going to be a year or two better. The team's going to be a year or two closer to the playoffs, and it's going to be not as hard of a sell to bring in a free agent. So good job to Kyle Davidson, learning from his mistakes from last year, not going out and splurging and bringing in a bunch of veterans or bringing in a bunch of free agents and taking away roster spots from these young players. Good on Kyle Davidson. I support that decision. It's going to be a fun year. Buckle up. There's going to be ups and downs, but at the end of the day, we get to watch a bunch of real Blackhawks, as I was calling them last year on CHR. So stay the course, Blackhawks fans. The light at the end of the tunnel is nearing. We're almost out of this thing, maybe another year or two, and then I think it's going to turn around quick because this young core that Kyle Davidson has been assembling through the draft is looking pretty scary. There's a lot of talent. There's a lot of depth. We just got to find out the right pieces and then start hitting the trades, start hitting the free agents. It's all going to happen. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like the video, turn on your post notifications, follow my social medias at the bottom here. Tap in. I use Instagram a lot. I use Twitter a lot. I post the videos on there. Yeah, thanks so much. See you in the next one.